And let me see. Dean Bamala, are you here?
I am here, Dr. Griffinell.
My guy. Very good. Okay, cool. Jason Wolfe, this is Prasad Bamala. He is the Associate Dean here at the Business School.
Nice to
Yeah.
meet you, Jason.
Hi, Dean. How are you?
I'm good, Jason. How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you for being here today. Is it Vanmala?
Vemala.
Vemala. Got it.
No, Prasad. Why you let me say it wrong?
Dean Vemala. Vemala.
Too kind for your own good. All right, 2:00 on the dot. We have a pretty hearty crowd. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. As people come in, we will warmly welcome them in. But to everyone here, welcome. This is 2 seconds. This is Entrepreneurship Week, Global Entrepreneurship Week around the globe, around the entire world, where cities and universities and individuals and leaders are celebrating the amazing strides that entrepreneurs have made, how they have changed our lives with the incredible things that they have created and brought to market, how they apply entrepreneurial mindset within their different organizations. And so we're really, really excited to be part of this celebration. It's really great to be able to invite our speaker today. And as we're about to get started, I would like to invite Dean Vemala to say hello on behalf of the School of Business.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Dr. Griffinell indicated, my name is Prasad Vemala, and I'm the Associate Dean for the School of Business. On behalf of the school, I want to join you all in welcoming Mr. Jason Wolfe, our Rockwell speaker this afternoon. Jason, thank you so much for taking time and being here. This truly is a great opportunity for our students. Thank you. Dean Michelle Patrick unfortunately had a family issue and is unable to attend today. But of course, she sends her best wishes to all of you. Without further ado, back to you, Dr. Griffinell and Jason. Again, thank you so much. Really appreciate your support for our program. Thank you. Dr. Griffinell.
Awesome. Thank you. So this particular event is one of our week's highlights as we welcome Jason Wolfe as a 2001 Rockwell speaker. The Rockwell Entrepreneurship and Innovation Fellowship Program is a new one on our campus that was just launched last year. We have a few Rockwell Fellows here, also in our audience. And we are really grateful to the S. Kent Rockwell Foundation for providing this support and resources to be able to advance entrepreneurial education and action at RMU just a step further. So as our 2001 Rockwell speaker, we welcome Jason Wolfe. Bio about Mr. Wolfe. Jason Wolfe grew up in Milton Hershey, in the Milton Hershey School, which is a school for disadvantaged children, where he lived with 16 other boys in a home from 1980 to 1987. He put himself through college. Talk about grit and perseverance. And afterward was in an accident and had 2 major neck spinal surgeries. While recovering in 1995, Jason was not able to drive, so he taught himself how to write code and built the first coupon website online. Jason was living in his Jeep at the time. This is how Jason became interested in technology, by circumstance. He built that coupon site to eventually raise $500,000 in VC funds and got it to 20 million visitors per month and sold it to a public company right before the bubble burst in 2000. Jason then went on to build another company, Direct Response Technologies, to 70 employees and tracked billions of transactions per month and sold to a public firm in 2006. Jason's next focus, true serial entrepreneur, was on giftcards.com, started in 2008 and built that to 120 employees and billions in card sales and sold that to a public firm in 2016. Today, Jason is building the next generation product for the gifting market. The company, I believe this is Giftia, has 60 people currently working there. And then Mr. Wolfe just informed me that they have increased to 75. Jason has received several awards over his career, but is most proud of being named the Alumni of the Year of the Milton Hershey School in 2014. When I read that, that moved me. I think that's so incredible that to be able to kind of be the pride of your high school, of that community that saw you in your beginnings, for that to make you proud, we all celebrate that. So without any further delay, my wonderful students, my wonderful entrepreneurs in the audience, RMU community, let us welcome Jason Wolfe. And if you could unmute your mics for 20 seconds, okay, no, 10 seconds, and just clap as we welcome him.
Dr. Griffin, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, cool. Thanks. Well, that was my whole presentation. She just gave that in 5 minutes. So I'm done. But in all seriousness, I will walk through a lot of what Dr. Griffin just talked about. What I'm hoping today is that I am able to share some of my experience with you, that it may help you to become an entrepreneur, or learn a little bit about the inside thinking of somebody like me, because it takes all different types of entrepreneurs, but there's a certain type of entrepreneur that I am. So I thank you guys for being here, and I'm thankful to Dr. Howard for inviting me. Dr. Howard is a great president. You guys are very fortunate to have him. He's a friend of mine. He's been very successful in his life, and I'm just privileged to be able to speak to you guys today for the 6th annual Entrepreneurship Week. So I'm Jason Wolfe, as Dr. Griffin said. I'm going to start out with talking about who I am. So there's a table of contents, so you guys can follow along where I'm at in this talk. So you know there's sort of some structure to it. So I'm going to talk about who I am. I'm going to talk about values. I'm going to talk about the values that I've learned over the years that are important to becoming a successful entrepreneur. I'm going to give a story about an entrepreneur, and then I'm going to talk about what really is important in the end. Okay? We're all good? I think I see some heads here. I'm not sure I can get the whole class, but I can see a bunch of people. Looks like there's some nodding going on. Just don't nod off as I go along here. So first, I'm a dad, and I'm a husband, and I believe in integrity. Integrity is the basis, the foundation of being a great entrepreneur. You have to dig down inside and ask yourself the question about integrity. Is integrity something that you would describe that you have? I mean, do you have integrity? Do you do something when nobody's watching? Do you do the right thing when nobody's watching? That's the question. And over my years of being in business, I've realized that the people that I've seen make it as entrepreneurs successfully, for the most part, have integrity as the foundational piece in their personal life as well as the companies that they build. So I have to answer to my wife and my son, my 17-year-old son there, and then I adopted 3 children. You can see Jeremiah's the little boy, Danielle's the second little one, and then Marigold. My wife and I adopted these 3 little wonderful people a few years ago. I'm also on the board of directors of the statewide adoption network in Pennsylvania. We have about 15,000 kids in Pennsylvania looking for homes. So I figured I should, if I'm going to be on the board, I should be, drinking the Kool-Aid. And so I adopted 3 children with my wife. One of the best things that I've done. There's 400,000 children in the United States looking for homes. So again, when I talk about values, and I talk about entrepreneurship, the foundation, the bedrock of it all is integrity. And I have to answer to my children and my wife and to God, who I owe everything in my life to. Okay. So second, who am I? So yes, I talked about being a dad, a husband, a faith follower, but I'm also somebody that focuses a lot of time on business. All right. So I'll talk about that and go through the journey from 1995 to 2016. As Dr. Griffin talked about, I was recovering from surgery in 1995, and I had nowhere really to go. I grew up in a school for kids from broken homes and had no family. So I'm sitting here in Pittsburgh with recovering from spinal surgery, and I said, you know what? I can get a book and I could teach myself how to write software. Now, I used to play sports. Played college football. I played baseball. I wrestled and I played high school football. And never came off the field. So I was like the type of kid that was more focused on athletics and my social activities than I was on sitting down writing code. So it was like a complete opposite thing for me. But it was something that I can do that I felt like there was an opportunity. I saw the internet at the time in 1995. I think about that, it was like 26 years ago. I saw the commercial internet as a place that's going to enable people like me the opportunity to build a business. So I started to write code and create the first coupon site. And I got a book, Learn Perl in 21 Days. And I got Building a Perfect Web. And I got graphic design software, CorelDRAW. Probably nobody on this phone or on this Google Meet knows what CorelDRAW is because it was a long time ago, or PageMaker, or any of these tools for graphic design. But I got the tools to do that, and I got the tools to write code, and I actually sat down and sat in a little room that my friend said I can use. As I was leaving that little office he had, I would go back and sleep in my car, and I would come back and I would sit there at my computer, and I would be sitting there just trying to figure this thing out. So I did. Um, and the first year I made maybe $4,000. I was very skinny. I lost a lot of weight because I had two spinal surgeries, but I weigh about 220 now. I was about 160 pounds, and all I was doing is trying to do something with my life. I had nowhere else to go, and this was it for me. So I invested everything I could into this. And over the course of several years, I went from 4,000 to the next year I made 35,000. And I hired my first employee, and her name was Barb Sherman, and she lived down in Florida. And she was somebody that would come into my site and see, hey, this guy's creating this coupon, so I wonder if I can help him. She was always so positive, and I needed positivity at the time. So I paid her $50 a month, and she would go around the internet and find coupons for me to put into the database that we put on the coupon site. At the time, the first site was called Coupons Direct. It changed to Coupon Directory and eventually to My Coupons. If you go back to the Wayback Machine, you can go back, if you guys know what that is, Internet Archives, and type in Coupons Direct, and you'll see it from 1995. Don't laugh, but the graphic design I did, it looks like a fifth grader, but it, it was good enough for me back then. So I started paying her $50 a month. She would go out and find coupons, and eventually we got up to 187,000. And I created this tracking technology at the time that enabled people when they came to the coupon site, if they left, I would track them and I would see where they would go because a guy at Netscape just created cookie-based tracking. And it wasn't widely popular, but I knew about it. And so if somebody came to my coupon site, I'd place a cookie on their computer and then I would follow where they would go. And so this tracking that I built off of my coupons became very valuable. In 2000 or 1999, I raised $500,000. So I'm living in an apartment by now, and I decide to raise some money. So I raised $500,000 from a VC firm, and it only took me about 2 days to do it. And it was all by email. I sent them my financials. I sent them our website. The guy's named Alan Meckler, owned a company called Internet.com, and it was Meckler Media. And it was a wild frenzy back then. This was before the dot-com bubble burst, probably before some of you guys were even born. But it was a time where everybody was tossing money into these internet companies. Nobody knew anything what it meant. And so I raised $500,000. By 2000, we got up to $1 million in revenue. And I sold that to a public company, Velasys, out of Michigan, for $23 million. And it was interesting. I never had a chance to meet Barb all those years. So I ended up flying the entire company down to Florida to meet her. For all I know, she could have been a 13-year-old boy. I had no idea. All I knew is her by her name. We never talked on the phone. We just chatted, and she would go find coupons. By now, she's making an income. I was paying her a salary, and she actually owned some stock in the company. So flew everybody down there to meet Barb. Just an emotional, special time. But sadly, very shortly after that, the dot-com bubble burst, and companies that were once worth a lot of money were worth very little. And I had to figure out what to do. So I refocused the attention, my attention, onto that tracking technology I talked about earlier, leaving one website, going to another website, and tracking people. Right. And I took that software and I put it into a tool called Direct Track. And I started to build this up and license this technology out. And so companies would use my technology to track people leaving their website, going to another website, mostly an affiliate marketing tool. And we got to the point where we were tracking 12 billion transactions a month. We had clients like Microsoft using our technology. It was pretty cool. Um, and as I do what's called build, package, and sell. I built the company, I packaged it up, and in 2006, I sold it to Digital River. By then, I had 75 employees or so. And I sold it to Digital River, took a couple years off, had Morris. You guys saw the picture of Morris. And in 2008, I decided to get back into it again. Not by then, my son was 4 years old, 3 years old enough that he could be seen by other people, and so that I could focus on business again. So I bought a building in Green Tree, Pennsylvania. I don't know if you guys know where Green Tree is, but it's not too far outside the city, a little bit south through the tunnels. I bought a building here. I'm in the building today. And I converted the building into a high secure fulfillment center. And what does that mean? It means we were able to we were able to under giftcards.com, able to manufacture and produce Visa cards with your photo on it or a logo. Only a couple facilities in the country can actually do that because you're basically printing money. So the building became a high secure facility, armed guard at the front, vault in the interior with walls, 24 inches thick, holding Visa cards and MasterCards, and we were printing and producing them out of here. We were able to grow that company to the point where we had 120 people, and we were doing $275 million a year in sales. And I sold that to a public company again. It was a company called Blackhawk in 2016. And so after I sold the company, I had to figure out what to do. And while I was figuring out what to do, I knew that the gift card itself was broken because the gift card was used in illegal activity. And people would lose their gift cards. Their gift cards would get lost or stolen. People would steal credit cards, then buy gift cards, and then go resell the gift card for the cash. Prostitutes and child trafficking would use gift cards because it was non-traceable. Now, this was put on my heart. I don't need any more money. And I felt like this was a redemptive thing. I need to fix something I see broken because that's what I was taught in my faith. And so what I decided to do was to build this company that you see here called Telos Gifting. And what do we do here? What's the gift card disruptor? Well, the gift card hasn't changed in 25 years. I mean, you guys probably all know this. It's not all that great. I mean, you're producing a whole ton of plastic garbage, 15,000 tons of plastics every year that take, a millennial to absorb into our earth. And you probably, if you didn't get a plastic, you probably got a gift code, and it probably went to your spam folder, and you know where it is, or you lost it, or you're checking out, you don't know where it is. And so the entire industry is built on something that's broken and flawed with criminal activity and a product that you lose, the recipient loses. Right? It's not a great thing to do. I mean, it's convenient, and a lot of people want gift cards, and we still sell some gift cards here. But it's not something that I think, to me, as it was put on my heart, was something I needed to fix. All right. So what I created, and we got a bunch of patents around, is the concept of a card link gift. So I see Jackson in my window here. Jackson, I get him a gift you for Vincent's Pizza right up the street here. He likes Vincent's Pizza, I know it. And he gets a text and he says, "Oh wow, Jason got me this gift you. That's cool." Clicks on it. He then links his Visa or MasterCard, just puts in his digits, and that's it. Now he forgot he had it. Doesn't have to worry about putting it in his wallet and carry plastic around or a code somewhere. Now Jackson is out one night with his friends. He goes over to Vincent's Pizza. He forgets about it. He swipes his card after he's done checking out. And lo and behold, he gets a text message. It says, "Jackson, hey, that gift you that Jason got you like 3 months ago is getting credited to your Visa card. And so go check your statement." So Jackson's like, "Wait, I forgot about that." Goes and looks and sees, sure enough, $25 is loaded onto his Visa card. So it's sort of like the Venmo of gifting. And it eliminates this entire problem that exists within the gift card space. And it makes an experience a good experience. And then the criminal activity can't be conducted. So I'm working on that now. As Dr. Griffin said, we had 60, we're up to 75. We continue to grow very quickly. It's been literally 3 years that I've been focusing on this. First year, 10 million. Second year, we did 30 million. This year, we're on pace for 100 million in sales. All right. So who am I? Yes, I'm a dad and a husband, but obviously I'm an entrepreneur, right? That's what I am. I am the CFO. I am the CTO. I am the CMO. I am every role that you could think wrapped up into one, because that's what entrepreneurs do. Entrepreneurs that are building companies like this do a lot of different things. They don't just do one thing, they do a lot of things. And so, yeah, so that's what I am. I've been recognized with a lot of different awards. I've been on national TV, several different places. And what I learned over the years are these values that I want to teach to you guys today. And one I talked about, which was the bedrock, is the foundation, which is integrity, right? And the next value is drive. And I think I just gave you a huge example of drive over the last 25 years. But you have to ask yourself, are you driven? You know, are you the type of person that just works hard, that just does it, just does not have to be told to do something? You know, and you know this. Are you doing the work when nobody's watching you? Back to the integrity thing. Are you doing that kind of work? Are you, if you're exercising, are you pushing it the extra 100 yards just to push yourself? Are you driven? Very important characteristic of an entrepreneur. So, you know, I was thinking about how I can relate some of the stuff to you guys in college. And I sometimes talk about this. I think is very similar, that I've seen patterns between college and building a business. You know, your first year in college, you're a freshman, you're trying to find your way around. You know, you may you may get lost. You may just drop out and fail. All kinds of things happen in freshman year. Same with business. In the first year of business, you may say, I don't like this. This is too much for me. A lot of companies go out of business in that first year, just like freshman year, you know, and so you finally make it through that freshman year, that first year of business, and you're feeling pretty good. And you go into your sophomore year. And I've heard, and I'm not sure, I'm not educated, not that educated, but I heard that the word sophomore in like maybe Latin is the same word for moron. So you basically you do something in business that's just dumb. You basically get it past the first year, and then in your second year, you end up taking credit from somebody who has no credit, and you buy into what they sell you, and they're your client, and you're banking everything on it, and they don't pay you. They go bankrupt. That was a dumb mistake. Or like in college, you know, you might go and do something dumb and get in trouble with the law, or just fail out of your class, do something stupid. A lot of times that second year, people do stupid things. Same thing in business. And then you finally get to the junior year and you're living off campus, right? And you maybe got a job and you're networking, and You might have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or some significant other, and you're becoming popular. People like you. People talk about you. That's how business is. You get that third year, you're starting to network. You're starting to make relationships. And then you finally get to the senior year, and you know everything about what's happening. You know pretty much every corner of the campus. You know, you know yourself. You know where you're going. It's the same with business. By year four, and some people are on the 5-year plan. I was on a 5-year plan when I went to college, so it might be more than 4 years. Might be 5, might be 6, but it follows the same sort of pattern. And I find that a lot of things in life follow a 4-year pattern, if you think about it. So politics and school and even in business. So I encourage you, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, think about integrity, ask yourself if you're driven, and then be committed at least to a 4-year project. Give it that much time, because in the first couple of years, you're probably going to make a mistake. All right. Is it a popularity contest, being in business, being an entrepreneur? Let's find out. Okay. Do we know who this person is? You guys, anybody saw the game last night? Nail biter. Ben Roethlisberger, obviously well known. Um, Sidney Crosby, probably most people on this Google Meet know who that is. Or maybe this one, I just pulled it off the internet. Not a real fan, but Charlie Sheen or this guy. No, very self-focused. I mean, these people are just, their brand is who they are. They are their brand, right? And then you look at people like this guy. This is Paul Orafalia, I think his name. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, but this is the guy who started Kinko's. They actually call the place Kinko's because back when he was younger, he used to have this big red curly kinky hair. It's gone now, but this is Paul. He started Kinko's. I think if I could play this, hopefully you guys can hear it. And it's a little tip that he gives about the success of his business and how he became successful and what it meant. Hopefully you can hear me or hear this. Here he goes. Yes, no?
No.
Okay, hold on. You know what? I'm not even sure how to do it. So you know what we might do is just skip it. Now. Well, I will recap what he says. He talks about the importance of people, and that when you do have a company, that your job is to supply to the people that work for you help. So your job is not really to be on the top of a pyramid. Your job is actually inverted, and you're at the bottom. The pyramid is inverted, and you're supporting the people in your company. And your job is to take obstacles out of their way. That's how you become successful. It's not telling people to do, it's to ask them, what can you do for them for you to become successful as an entrepreneur? This person here probably can't hear the video, but this guy's name's Doug Ducey. He's the founder of Cold Stone Creamery. And his story was about taking the experience of doing it once, like you guys heard about me, and then doing it again. Because once you figure out how to do it, you can do it again. Once you figure out the recipe and once you're successful, you can do it again and you can do it again. And he talks about Cold Stone Creamery. They went to, I think, 14,000 locations, something like that. And then he was just doing it again, doing the same business model or a different business model all over again. This guy, does anybody know who this is? This is the founder of eBay, Pierre Omidyar, I think. There's a video on there, and he talks about eBay, the eBay of 1996 and the eBay of 1999 and the eBay of 2008, and how eBay had to continue to evolve in order to grow. A lot of times entrepreneurs get stuck and they don't want to pivot. One of the keys that you'll find out as you become a successful entrepreneur, and people that work for you will become maddened by it, they will not like it, is that you'll be moving quickly and fast, and you'll be changing directions. And that's an important thing to remember and to do. And don't get stuck in your ways because you can fail, because you're not wanting to change. You've got to be able to move. You've got to be able to evolve and grow. That's how you survive. And he talks about that. And then lastly, this is Milton Hershey, and this is the guy who started the Hershey Chocolate Company. I can't give a video of him because it's probably 100 years old here. I don't think they had video back then. We're lucky we got a picture of him. This is the guy who started the Hershey Chocolate Company, and I'm going to talk a little bit about him next. But of the people that I talked about earlier, the Ben Roethlisberger, Sidney Crosby, Charlie Sheen, Johnny Depp, how many people do they employ other than their assistants? Very few, like none. And those other four people that I mentioned employ 160,000 people, right? It's not a popularity contest. It's not really about who you are. It's really about what you're building. Because most of the entrepreneurs in our country, which are the engine of our country, are unknown. Don't know. Sometimes you hear about them, Steve Jobs and some of them, but most of them you don't know. And those four people just accounted for $12 billion in payroll. 160,000 people plus all their families. Think about the impact and influence that these four single little people had. And so what I'm trying to say to you is that focus on whatever it is your product is. Don't worry so much about who you are. Don't worry about getting your name in the newspaper that, hey, they're recognizing me. Be more concerned about they're recognizing your product. Be more concerned that they're seeing what you've done as far as what you've built. And build something that's going to make society better. And that's what the celebration is. And that's what those people have done. And that's why those people have been able to employ a ton of people. And it's not really about a popularity contest. Okay. The next value I want to talk about is teamwork. Teamwork is very important. We we define teamwork in a lot of different ways, but one of the things I want to talk about is when I realized I was at the Entrepreneur of the Year award ceremony. So what happens is if you win Entrepreneur of the Year, like I did in Pennsylvania here, okay, you win your region, and then you go to California for the nationals. And so I won an e-commerce for our area, and then I went to California and I sat at the table, and I thought I was big cheese here. But then I went there, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm sitting at a table with my table, which is e-commerce, and Entrepreneur of the Year has many different categories. Okay, so like, I don't know, manufacturing or whatever, medical. The e-commerce group was pretty competitive. You had in my group at the table was the CEO of Groupon. I actually think he's from Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. The CEO of LinkedIn, the CEO of Green Dot, and one other real well-known website. And then there was me. And I looked at my badge and it said Wolfe, which was my name. But that was also the name of my company. And I had all this stuff. And I had like all these different business units underneath Wolfe. And I realized that I wasn't focused. And that meant my team wasn't focused. And when your team's not focused, it's really, really hard for your team to perform. So I came back and I said, we are going to focus on one thing, and that's just giftcards.com. All the other business units, I put them aside and I started to focus because we were too small to be acting so big. Like we're acting like this conglomerate and I got all this stuff going on. The reality is everybody was running around frazzled because everybody's trying to provide services for all these little businesses that we had going on, and it was not going to be successful. It could have been successful, but not to the level that this was successful. So we came back and became focused. And then I started to read books. I had read books before, but I was reading books about leadership and building teams. And I came across this book it's called True North. And, um, I could remember moments in my building of the company where I had been challenged by Visa, for example. I'm trying to get Visa to approve us for that gift your product I just talked about a little earlier. And I thought, gosh, I have this great idea. Visa's going to jump on board with me because I need Visa because I need to get the transactions at the point of sale. Only way to do that is through partnership with Visa, MasterCard, and Amex. It's the only way you can get that data. So after doing all this business with Visa at giftcards.com, I thought these guys are going to listen to me and just sign up. Well, no, it took 1,058 days to convince them. It took me 367 emails, 55 phone calls, and 5 trips to San Francisco until I finally got them because I was true north. I was passionate about what I was doing, and I wasn't going to take no for an answer. And so, what your employees and your team need to know is that you're focused, what I talked about just before, and that you're passionate about what you're doing, that there is a mission that you're after, and that you're not going to take no for an answer. When you get a no for the first call, guess what? You're closer to a yes. That's all I look at it, especially if you got something that you're going to make a difference in society on. Then I read another book, of course. I actually went and saw this person speak, Keith McFarland, and he talked about the breakthrough company. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. And as I'm building team and I'm trying to get focused and my employees are seeing me passionate, I'm saying, what's the difference between companies that perform at this level and companies that perform at this level? What's the difference? Well, this guy wrote a book that evaluated that. They went out and went through the Inc. 500 over 30 years, and they looked at companies within categories, and they looked at the companies that were higher performers than anybody else. And then they put them in a database, and then they called on those companies, and they went and visited those companies, and they realized that what they saw was similar amongst all these companies. These companies um, focused on their people, but would not allow politics into the company. Instead, they focused on the idea, the buy-in to the idea, and when you have no politics, people buy into the idea faster. If you have politics, people are saying, "Well, I have this interest," and politicians, they can't get anything done, right? So if you take that out, you have an idea, and then you have team buying into it because they see you're passionate, right? And you're focused. The process goes from buy-in to building whatever it is, and as you're building that and you're executing, guess what happens? More ideas. And so the wheel that goes here spins. The faster that wheel spins, the more success you're going to have. And so they saw those companies that were at the top had this wheel spinning very fast. And the slower that spun, the further down the list the companies were. So very important execution. So after I did that, after I got the team right focused, I got the team seeing my passion, and then I got the team taking the politics out of the office. We went from 10 million to 275 million. That site today is doing over $1 billion a year. And so I've learned the value of teamwork and how important it is for you to be successful. Frankly, you know, Carson, I see Carson on here. Carson, I mean, at some point, it's not going to be just you building a business. It's going to be you and a team of people. Now, how you treat your people, if you listen to what I just said, you can increase your chances of success. Very important. So, integrity, drive, teamwork. Finally, the last one I want to talk about is caring. And this is a little quote from Sergey Brin. Does anybody know who that is? Maybe a couple people. Founder of Google. And he says, obviously, everyone wants to be successful, but I want to be looked back on as a very innovative, very trusted and ethical, caring, and ultimately making a big difference in the world. So people that get to a certain level want to look upon their life and what they've done and show that they've cared. It's not unusual. So I want to talk about caring. I want to talk about somebody. His name is Milton Hershey. So I showed you the picture earlier there, the chocolate bar, and Milton Hershey. So he has an interesting story. I'm gonna walk through for the next 5 to 10 minutes his life, and then I'll be done. You guys can ask questions. I think I'm 40 minutes into this, so I probably got another 5-10 minutes left. But this is Milton Hershey. He had no father. Okay, and he didn't even get through the 4th grade. So think about that. No father. no education. He starts to work as a printing apprentice. So he's working in a printing off thing. You could see him. He's on the right there in that photo. He's young and he's working. And they fired him because he was terrible at it. And maybe because he was 14, but he was terrible at it. But over a couple years, he ended up getting another job, and he worked at a candy company. And he recognized how happy candy brought, how happy people got when they bought candy. And so he said, you know what? At age 19, or probably before that, maybe a couple years before that, he decided to start a caramel company. And so he started this caramel company, but by the time he was 19, it failed. I don't remember the details of it, but it just failed. I would have to imagine, I mean, he's a 19-year-old and not a lot of experience under his belt. So he scoots out of town because you guys all maybe know he's from the Hershey area, Lancaster area. So he leaves town and moves out to Denver, and he decides he's going to start another business, same sort of candy business. Nobody knows him in Denver, so let's do it all over again. He tries, and I actually think he took a loan from his aunt, tried to get this thing going. 6 years later, he's bankrupt. And then he moves to New York. It's like, I can't do it here. I'm going to go to New York. Nobody knows me there. And he starts another company, a candy company. And guess what happens? Yep, Maxwell knows it failed. And he moved back to Derry, PA after 3 failures. And so then he started at the age of 33. After all those failures, he decided to start another caramel company called Lancaster Caramel. Within 3 years, just 3 years, he was able to generate $1 million worth of caramel candy per day. And while he was doing that, he discovered this concept of taking milk and mixing it with chocolate. Because prior to that, chocolate was like chalky. It was really not a sweet tasting chocolate. But he discovered this, and he started to dip the caramels inside this chocolate, and people were buying tons of it. And so he decided to sell the company. 3 years later, he had 1,400 employees. And so at age 36, he sold his company for $1 million. Okay. And today, $1 million would be worth about $32 million. So he sold his company for $32 million. So what's the lesson? I mean, he evolved, and he was obviously quickly learned from his failures and was able to be successful. But he kept that concept, the milk chocolate concept, sold the company, the caramel company, but kept this next idea that he knew that this is the future of candy. Caramels are nice, but it's really milk chocolate that's going to be it. So he starts on a journey. He goes to the Chicago Fair, and he sees this piece of equipment that enables him to mass produce his milk chocolate. And he buys one and brings it back. And then he sets up his shop in the middle of sort of the country. At the time, Hershey, there was nobody there. And he creates a company called Hershey Chocolate Company. And he builds a factory, and all the people move from Lancaster to work for him. It's like moving to wherever there's nobody there. You're like, had to like recruit people to come to move to Hershey, but he did. So people believed in him. They believed in his idea. They believed in his passion, his true north. He was passionate about this idea. And so people followed him, and they moved out to Hershey. And he was able to become successful. By 41, all the way up to 41, never got married, but by 41, he finally got married to Catherine. And Catherine was not able to have children. So sadly, she loved children. And in 1909, after they were married for a few years, Catherine convinced Milton to start this school called the Hershey Industrial School. And they brought on their first group of kids. It was an orphanage for boys. And they were little tiny little toddlers, 5, 6, 7 years old, little tiny kids. And she dedicated her life to it. And she was the force and the focus behind this school. And sadly, within 6 years of starting this, now the kids are not even through high school yet. You could just imagine, put yourself in that. Milton's over there making his chocolate. Catherine's over there taking care of these kids. And all of a sudden, Catherine dies. And Milton is left with this school. And instead of running, instead of abandoning it, what he decided to do instead was to take his entire fortune. At the time it was 60 million. Today it's billion. It would be worth billions. And he deposited that money into a trust for the children. And today the school is called Milton Hershey School, and it serves both sexes now. It's mostly for kids from disrupted homes, and it's helped more than, actually I have 9,000 kids there. It's more than 10,000 children have come through that school. The Hershey Trust owns 40% of the stock of Hershey Foods and 75% of the corporate voting shares today. Every time you buy a Hershey chocolate bar, money goes into this trust that then helps these children. There's 2,000 kids there right now, probably 2,200. All because they cared, all because Hershey cared. And that's the fourth item. It's integrity, it's drive, it's teamwork, and it's caring. It's philanthropy, it's giving back. As you give back, you get. People realize that the secret of life is to give. And the more you give, the more you get in return. It's true. So I've been compelled also, because Milton Hershey is my idol, to give back. I have done mission trips, and I've actually drove that little van. You probably can't see behind one of the photos there, but that's an RV. I used to drive around the country for a week before Christmas, and I would find kids, like you see the little girl on the left hand and the other girl. I'd find kids that would not get Christmas gifts, and I would hand deliver to them gift cards from us. And I literally gave out thousands, and saw thousands of children. And I would do that for a week right leading up to Christmas. So I've been compelled to give back. Why do I do all this? Because I'm one of the boys that grew up in Milton Hershey School. One of those boys is me. And without Milton Hershey, without all the stuff he did that I just got explaining, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have been able to do all the things that I did. So it comes down to, those values. But in the end, it's being able to give back, because then you can create the next generation of entrepreneurs. And so this year, I was actually not this year, 2014, they honored me with, as Dr. Griffin said, the most important award that I've ever gotten in my life, which was the Alumnus of the Year of Milton Hershey School. Very proud moment for me. So that's it. That's the journey. That is Jason Wolfe and the path. Hopefully I've said some things here today that can help you, some things that you can have maybe jotted down or remember. Those 4 values, reflect on yourself. And then in the end, remember, the very last one is the most important one, is that caring and giving back. That's all I got. Thank you.
That's wonderful. That is so wonderful. If we could unmute our mics and give Jason Wolfe a round of applause.
Thank you.
So much. It's great to see the balance, and yet the equal success with which you have been able to drive the performance of your company, yet at the same time, with the same intensity, also able to give back, and with compassion to create moments of joy and open up opportunities for those throughout our community nationwide. So that balance, that intensity on both ends, not that you would drive your business and then the giving back would be kind of like an afterthought. Like, no, I think we get the sense that those two are informed by the same ferocity, and that's awesome. So let us open up the floor for questions. If you have a question, you can go ahead and raise your hand virtually, and you can unmute your mic. You don't have to wait. You don't necessarily have to write the questions in the chat unless you really want to. This is a cozy enough crowd where we could speak up. While you're thinking about those questions, I did see one that popped up while you were talking about your early days of learning how to code. And so Jordan asks, which software book did you read?
Oh yeah, it was called Learn Perl in 21 Days. And one was called Building the Perfect Web. I actually have the books at my house on my bookshelf, all the books from the very beginning of time. And I look at them every now and then. I tell my son, those books, I get like 2 words out, he ignores me. But yeah, those are the books. Building the Perfect Web was one, and the other one was Learning Perl in 21 Days.
Very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Any questions? Go ahead, Chase.
One of my questions would be, I saw that you had sold a lot of your companies and it seemed like you sold them pretty much at the perfect time nonetheless. So when did you know when it was the right time for you to kind of move on to another business venture?
That's a good question.
There's a good
One
one.
of the things I've learned, what was his name?
Chase.
Chase. One of the things I learned, Chase, is as you're building these companies, if you do them multiple times, you'll notice that there's a frenzy that starts happening in the market where things are overvalued, where things start heating up. Markets heat up, there's more money available, there are people that are looking to buy, and if you can sell during that time, it's a good time to sell. I think looking back, um, had I waited until 2001, I probably couldn't have sold it, right?
Mm.
Had I waited until 2008, right after the economic meltdown of 2008, I probably couldn't have sold it. But right before then, I felt this sense of um, like a lot of money in the market, a lot of companies looking to buy. I've already put in my 4 years of college. I'm ready to graduate, and so that's what it's been for me. So if you do build a company, pay attention to that. Pay attention to market conditions. That's one of the things. Pay attention to what's going on around you, because you want to time it the right way. I've had friends that have sold companies that had a competitor that was competing against direct response, head to head, and they were a little bigger than us. And he sold his company for like $750,000 because he sold it the wrong time. I sold mine for 22 million.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, Jordan, go for it.
I have another question about stocks because when I was a senior at Oakland Catholic, I did this project where I had to pick my own stocks. So I was just wondering, what would your top 5 companies be, just that actually exist right
Mhm.
now that you would use in the stock
Oh,
market?
stock picks.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing I don't do. I've never gotten involved in the stock market other than selling companies to public companies. The any money that I have, like I know what I'm good at. I tried to, Jordan, I tried to be in real estate and I sucked at it. I bought all these properties and I never made any money. And I know a lot of people make good money in real estate. I realized I am not good at that. And then I tried to do like this trading of stocks and stuff, and I tank it. I wasn't making any money. I'm like, I'm not good at this. I don't have time for it. I'm good at building businesses. So unfortunately, Jordan, I'm not the person that has paid attention to that. In fact, I have wealth managers that manage the money that I have. I just rely on them to do a good job. Yeah.
Thanks. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Michaela.
Hi, Mr. Jason. I just want to say thank you. You did an awesome job, and we learned a lot so far. You seem like a man that has very strong faith-based values. How would you say you maintain that on a day-to-day level in your personal life as well as your business life?
Faith, you mean?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I came to my faith during the time when I was living in my car, and the journey's been a long journey, but the journey's never over in faith. If you have faith, you understand this. It's never over. We're always struggling, and that's the whole thing. Um, I could never say that I finally arrived until the day that I die. I am always dealing with good and evil in the world. And so for me, it's been surrounding myself with people that can help to strengthen me. There's a passage in the Bible. It's Proverbs 27:17. It's as iron sharpens iron, man sharpens man. You need to sharpen yourself by people that you surround yourself with in order to stay on track. That's what I found for me. That's been of huge value. Um, I do speak at men's events, ministry, stuff like that. I've done many of those where I go into more depth on that. Probably not for this call, but my faith is the larger part of my life. When I do speak uh, to Christian organizations, I do talk in depth about it because I think it's core to who I am personally, and I'm not ashamed of it. So yeah.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Wonderful question, Nicola. Thank you.
Michaela, that was a great one. Thank you.
It's powerful to hear you speak. It's wonderful to, also to be reminded, of those of us in the audience in the class that, our entrepreneurial journey, I think sometimes is sensationalized to separate the person from the innovation, or separate the person in their entirety from the enterprise. But part of what distinguishes the venture that you create is all of you. It's every aspect, dimension of you, dimension of your upbringing, dimension of your struggles, dimension of the people who love you and how they've poured into you, that shows up in that which you build. And so that's a great question for us to also reflect on. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Other questions? These are good, y'all. Go for it, Cooper.
Yeah, I have a quick question. Was there any company that was tough for you to sell? Like, was there any product or service you were very passionate about, or was just the money so good you couldn't say no?
I couldn't hear him so great, Dr. Griffin.
It's okay. It's okay. Cooper, your volume's a little low, but I I did hear you. It's a good question. Yes. Was there any, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cooper, but what I heard was, is there any company or product that was really difficult to sell?
Yeah.
Like, was the money just so good all the time, or,
So here's the rest of the story. I sold my coupons, $23 million, right before the dot-com bubble burst. Dot-com bubble burst. Within a very short period of time, the company I sold to stopped paying me. I owned part of the new public company, and I owned a bunch of cash that they owed me. All right, so I got it back. I then focused on that a little bit. Remember, I told you I wasn't focused. Well, one of those business units with all those logos was the coupon thing that I ended up getting back. So in the year 2010, I had a company wanting to give me $7 million for it, and it wasn't generating that much. I said, yeah. They want to give me $4 million. I wanted $7 million. They came back and said, well, you know what, we can't give you $7 million, give you $4 million. I said, nah, I don't want to do that. The next year, that business started generating even more money. This venture company, which later became Retail Me Not. Do you guys know what Retail Me Not is? Yeah, so our company could have been Retail Me Not. The VC firm behind Retail Me Not came back to me and says, okay, Jason, look, not 7 million, not 4 million. We're going to give you $25 million. And I said, no. And then that property started going down and it never recovered. And it was a big mistake. It was a big mistake. I should have sold it. I think the lesson I learned that in that situation is, if you ask for something from somebody, just do it. Just do it. Don't change. Just do it. Just goes back to, like I said, with the integrity thing. It's, if somebody says, here's 7 million, and you're like, that's what I wanted, don't go back and say, now I want 10. That's ridiculous. And as I believe, when you do things, there's repercussions for it. I got the repercussions of that bad decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is the plan for Giftia to exit as well?
Dr. Griffin, that's a good question. What I'm trying to do right now, it's not about money, it's about changing something. I feel like once I have been successful at changing this product, and once I come on to into your class again in 2 or 3 years and I talk and some of the students know what it is, then I think I'll be ready to exit. Until that time, I won't. Why? Not because of the money, because I want to change something broken. I want to fix something that's causing evil in the world. If I can see that it's actually making a difference and it's growing, and that if there's a buyer that says I will continue on with your mission, I would sell it. If not, I'm going to keep on doing this until we become like Netflix to Blockbuster. You don't go to Blockbuster. Probably nobody on this phone even knows what Blockbuster is. Maybe some people do, but yeah, gift cards will go the way of Blockbuster, and we are going to be the ones to do that because we're going to fix something that's broken in society, and it's not about the money; it's about the mission. So if I had somebody that says, "I'll pay you, and I will continue on the mission," and they put that down in writing, I would sell it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's so interesting what you revealed about how gift cards can be used to, enable like nefarious activity. That's wow.
You'd be shocked. You would be shocked.
Wow. And yet, as you explained it, that makes total sense. Like,
Yeah.
why? Because it's, it can't really be tracked, but I could see how that could be a source of some serious motivation. Jordan, go for it.
I have two questions. The first one was about the graphic designs for your company, well, for the company that you started. I was just wondering who actually came up with that visual work. And my other question was about what's your favorite part of philanthropy and just giving back to your community?
So the first question about who does our graphic design now, currently in our company, we're at 75 people. I have graphic design group of people. But way back in the day, it was me. I haven't picked up a graphic design. I haven't picked up Adobe, although sometimes I do sketches, but I haven't picked up Adobe since like 1998, 99. The other question, where do I get the most joy out of giving? I think, right? Where do I get the most joy? I like, for me, I like any form of giving. I think is gratifying. I mean, I think the giver receives more than the recipient. Um, I have a passion for children. Obviously, I grew up in the school, Milton Hershey School, and I was there from 10 years old, right? By myself with 16 boys in a home, with nobody there for me. I have a passion about that. Obviously, I adopted 3 children. So I love to see how I can help children. I love helping the homeless. It says in the Bible, the homeless and the widows and the orphans. And so that's where my focus is mostly.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
That's awesome. Any other questions? Well, as we're landing, what would I mean, you've given us like 4 critical values to think about going forward, especially as entrepreneurs or entrepreneurially minded people. Last thoughts or last words to this group, thinking about the market that we're in right now, like thinking about the world that we're in right now, some of the pressing questions and debates that are taking place, some of the conversations that we're having around the necessity for business to do good, and some of like the really controversial issues that still needs to be sorted through, such as the more recent debates around climate change and the more recent debates around racial inclusion. Like there's just a lot going on. So as these awesome young folks are stepping out into the world more and more, last thoughts, final wisdom.
Wow, there's a lot there. So one thing I don't participate in is politics. So I've never been one to be involved in any politics at all. I look at my current situation and I analyze it, or I talk to people and I analyze the situation and say, hey, how can I help? Can I help with this or not? I'm not somebody to talk. I'm really not. I am right now the chairman of the board of the Pittsburgh Technology Council. Okay, so we have 1,000 members, technology companies in the city of Pittsburgh. Last summer, I went on a listening tour. Okay, so I went around the city and met with hundreds of people to find out how we could provide pathways into technology for people of color and people that don't have pathways into technology. All the politics aside, I don't care. I know that when I put out a job posting and I'm looking for a software developer, I get no black candidates. There's a problem there. So I decided to work with the Tech Council and to drive an initiative forward, which I'm announcing tomorrow night at the Tech 50 award ceremony. If anybody's going to be there, I will be there speaking about it. It's called Apprenti Pittsburgh. And what we decided to do is, like, again, I'm a person of action. So I'm not going to put out a statement. I'm not going to put out a policy. I'm not going to put something fancy on the website. We're going to do something. And so what we created was an apprentice program that's non-discriminatory. And I'm not saying discriminate against this one or that one, but give pathways, right? So we're providing a pathway for people into technology. And it's just not just people of color, it's people like me, people like me that had nothing, a pathway into technology. So we're announcing it tomorrow. We have our first cohort of I think 12 students. And the idea is for companies, right, to provide an apprentice program for people that don't have software development skills, that want to be software developers, have the aptitude to be a software developer, and we bring them in as apprentices, and then we train them up and we give them a pathway into technology. And so some of those things, so that's what I would like to leave you with, is that I think there's a lot of things going on in our world. What I have been able to do is I've been able to just say, what can I actually do? And if there's something that I can do, I'm going to do it. And I don't engage in conversations in social media. I don't do any of that. I just figure out, okay, who can I do something with that can I make a difference? I think that if we did more of that, I think we'd have less of these this bickering going on. If we all just got up and started doing something and making actually progress, instead of putting out statements. A lot of people talk and they don't do. I think doing and being honest, like, hey, do we see a problem here? Yeah, everybody in the table says, yeah, okay. Well, what are we doing? And I don't care what it is. It could be technology issues. It could be other issues too. Like I see problems with children. I mean, I see that we have 15,000 children in foster care system in Pennsylvania. I'm not just sitting there. I'm doing something about it. I think that's the thing that I'm better at. I'm not good at. I would never get elected. I'm not electable, but I am the person that's behind the scenes trying to get stuff done for sure.
And yet, ironically, those are the folks who we need to be elected. Andrew Yang, in his book "Smart People Build Things," the assertion he puts out there always tickles me. It always amuses me, but it also reminds me why I love this field of entrepreneurship. Why I've committed. It's been a life work as a scholar and educator and academic for more than 10 years. It's because smart folks, they see the problem, like the awesome young people in this class, and then they go out and they figure it out.
That's what I challenge you guys. Everybody, I think there's 41 people on here. Do that as part of your building your company. Do that too. Figure out what can you do to make a difference in the world, honestly, and take that component, that caring component, and make a difference. At the end of the day, you're going to lay in your bed and you're going to be dying, and there's only two things that matter, in my opinion. It's going to be your faith and your family, and you want your family to be proud of what you've done. You want your faith to be solid. You've done things to make differences. So as part of you building your company, definitely do that. I encourage you not to get involved in all the banter back and forth, to just go ahead and do something.
Yes, that's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Right before we sign off, in the spirit of finding people who sharpen you, finding people who are also thinking about how to create to make this world better, I'll just go ahead and announce it, Skylar. The Enactus Student Club will be meeting up, fellowshipping, breaking bread over s'mores at the fire pit. And so, as inspired by what Mr. Wolfe has shared with us today, go and find your peoples. Go find other entrepreneurial thinkers. Starting tonight at 6:30, with other members of Enactus and the other members across campus who want to dream out loud about what they have the capability to change through the entrepreneurial and innovative talents that they hold. So that is 6:30 today at the Fire Pit. And with all that said, I think we're going to land here. Jordan did ask about the information for the Pit Tech program. Is that something that is?
Yes, Jordan, I'm glad you asked. You can go on to 40by80.org. So it's the word 40, number 80.org. And on there, you could find a link to the entrepreneur program. You probably can apply there. And like I said, we have our first cohort going through now. We have 80 people waiting. I'm trying to encourage companies in the city to get on board with this initiative that I'm trying to drive. I anticipate we will. So I would anticipate that you're going to be hearing more and more about this. Like this apprentice program is going to be solid for sure.
Awesome. Thank you,
All right.
Skylar. He put the link in the chat. 40 by 80. Wonderful. This has been such a heartwarming afternoon. Jason, thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you,
I know
Doctor.
it's a busy
Appreciate
time.
that.
Enjoy tomorrow. Party hard. Happy celebration. Happy anniversary to the Pittsburgh Technology Council and to my incredible students, the students of RMU. Thank you all so much for being here. We keep doing what we're doing, right? And so I'll see you on Thursday. So everyone, be well. Take care.
See y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.